Hi there, this is a presentation on understanding adaptive learning with a field experiment as a video presentation for the Advances with Field Experiments Conference 2020. I'm Tim Klausmann and this is co-authored with Daniel Schunk. We are both from Johannes Gutenberg University, Mainz. So why should we research adaptive learning? Firstly, in the context of digital learning, we often find null effects or wasteful software, wasteful implementations. So, all in all, in the digital learning environment, especially now in a COVID context, there's a lot of potential upwards. Secondly, teaching at the right level focuses the difficulty of tasks a learner faces on the students themselves. And there's some research on classroom teaching at the right level, so we will try to implement that in a digital environment. Thirdly, we believe that technology can do much more than scaling that is often done. Specifically, with data, we can individualize and predict the difficulty of content. So, from the perspective of teaching the right level, we can predict task difficulty, and secondly, then we can use these predictions to individualize content to every single student, which can barely be done in the classroom. So, what do we do differently from the papers that have already been written on adaptive learning? Firstly, we try to understand adaptive learning more deeply by having treatments that separate the elements of adaptivity. We want to first look at what the right difficulty level is doing for students, and then on top implement that for every student individually. So see what further individualization on its own can contribute. Secondly, in contrast to other papers, we don't assume what difficulty dimensions are or what grade a learner could be in, but we try to predict the difficulty of every task for every user separately. Thirdly, on top of standardized tests that are often used as an outcome, we want to observe the treatment effect on learning behavior directly to understand how students differently learn in different environments. Our intervention uses a little more than 4,500 students that learn in a college level learning platform. So in the control treatment, we both use non-individualized content and provide them with a very simple difficulty distribution. In our group-based treatment, we still do not apply individualization, but we use the pre-tested optimal difficulty distribution. And lastly, in our individual treatment, on top of the optimal difficulty distribution, we individualize this to every single student. So our treatments are the difference between control and group-based, which is just implementing teaching at the right level in a digital environment, so providing the right difficulty distribution. On top of that, we test what individualizing difficulty to every learner brings. So these are our results, and as you can see, both treatment arms outperform the control group, and this is 0.17 and 0.14 standard deviations of learning effort that we observe on top of the control group. This starts early on. This intervention is done over a year, so early on we can see how learners in our two treatment groups start learning for their tests and how this gap is opening. However, we do not find differences that stem from individualization. So both the learners that just receive the optimal difficulty distribution and those that on top receive individualization perform as good. Lastly, when we go to grades, so look at a standardized high-stakes test, we find that all the three groups perform exactly similar, so we do not observe effects on grades, but on the learning behavior in the platform. Thank you for listening, enjoy other talks, and hope to see you next year in a presence conference.